What does President Trump mean when he says that Taylor Swift is no longer hot?
Look, he is speaking about Taylor Swift's political views and how perhaps it has impacted the support of the American public for her work, and I will leave it at that.
On the morning of Friday, May 16th, I was standing in the press corridor of the White House when the energy shifted sharply, not from a policy announcement or international crisis, but from something that came out of Truth Social, Donald Trump's social media platform, where the former president published a post that immediately exploded into the day's central firestorm, an unfiltered personal attack on Taylor Swift. In the post, Trump wrote, "Taylor Swift is a puppet of the radical left. She was nothing until I made America great again. And now she wants to pretend she knows politics. Stick to singing breakup songs and stay out of the election." The message spread across Twitter, now X, TikTok, and Instagram in minutes, catching fire with both his followers and Swift's global fan base, a massive digital constituency that has grown even more powerful since her record-breaking Eras tour and her increasingly vocal presence in national politics. Standing in the West Wing, I could see aides already pulling up the post, whispering and shaking their heads, and I knew the press room was about to ignite. What seemed at first like another polarizing Trump moment quickly escalated into something larger, a cultural flashpoint that would pull in the White House, members of Congress, celebrities, political strategists, and millions of Americans divided along lines that were as much generational and cultural as they were partisan. That afternoon, during the regularly scheduled White House press briefing, Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre addressed the issue head-on, something rarely done when it comes to celebrity controversies, and her tone was deliberate, unwavering, and presidential. The president believes, she said, that every American, including artists like Ms. Swift, has the right to voice their opinions. Dismissing her or anyone else because they don't align with former President Trump's views isn't leadership, it's fear. Her remarks were met with a flurry of camera clicks, raised eyebrows, and knowing glances across the press corps. Jean-Pierre continued, noting that Taylor Swift has used her platform responsibly to promote civic engagement, youth voter registration, and support for marginalized communities, adding that her efforts represent the kind of democratic participation this administration encourages, not discourages. As the briefing ended, the conversation spilled into the hallways. Off the record, White House aides told me that the administration was caught off guard by the need to respond to a celebrity dispute, but felt it was necessary given Swift's cultural standing and Trump's escalating rhetoric. Meanwhile, Capitol Hill was lighting up. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took to X with a characteristically blunt post. "Taylor Swift has done more to get young people registered to vote than Trump did in 4 years. Her voice matters and she has every right to use it." Within hours, her statement had been reposted over 80,000 times, sparking waves of support from activists and celebrities alike. Surprisingly, even some Republicans weighed in. Senator Mitt Romney, often at odds with Trump, tweeted, "You don't have to agree with someone's politics to respect their right to speak. Attacking Taylor Swift for exercising her voice isn't presidential, it's petty." That sentiment echoed what many Americans across political affiliations seem to be feeling, that Trump's comment didn't just cross a line, it suggested real anxiety about Swift's influence, especially with young, suburban, and female voters, three groups critical of the upcoming 2025 general election. It's not the first time Taylor Swift has stirred political tension. Back in 2018, she broke a long-standing silence by endorsing Democratic Senate candidates in Tennessee, her home state, a move that led to a documented spike in voter registration among young people. Since then, she's spoken out forcefully about reproductive rights, LGBTQ+ protections, disinformation, and the erosion of democratic norms. Her 2020 Netflix documentary, Miss Americana, even chronicled her internal struggle about becoming politically vocal, ultimately showing her transformation from silent superstar to cultural activist. So when Trump accused her of being a puppet, many saw it not just as an insult, but as a calculated attempt to discredit one of the most influential voices in American pop culture. Later that evening, Swift's publicist, Tree Payne, issued a concise but potent statement. Taylor will continue to use her platform to speak out against hate, division, and political intimidation. She stands for decency, truth, and the power of voting. The message didn't include a direct quote from Taylor herself, but fans and observers alike noted its significance. This wasn't going to be one of those moments that quietly faded. By late evening, Taylor Swift was the #1 global trending topic, with hashtags like #I stand with Taylor, #Trump versus Taylor flooding social media. The reaction wasn't limited to influencers or superfans either. On CNN, political analyst Van Jones said, "This is the culture war in 4K. Trump doesn't just fear Taylor Swift because she's famous. He fears her because she moves people, young people, and that could change votes." Meanwhile, over on Fox News, hosts were more divided. While Sean Hannity doubled down on Trump's remarks, claiming Swift is being used by the liberal machine, Laura Ingraham surprisingly urged caution, saying, "Going after Taylor Swift just makes you look desperate. She's not the enemy, apathy is." As a journalist watching this all unfold in real time, I couldn't help but feel like we were witnessing a uniquely modern moment, one where music, celebrity, politics, gender, and generational identity collided in full view of the nation. Swift, intentionally or not, has become a kind of mirror for where America is heading, a country grappling with its values, its voices, and its very sense of leadership. Trump's post wasn't just an attack. It was a flare shot into a shifting political landscape where traditional power structures are being challenged not just by elected officials, but by cultural leaders with millions of followers, billions of streams, and more importantly, the trust of an entire generation. It raised serious questions that will likely persist through the next election cycle. How much influence should celebrities have in politics? Why do figures like Swift scare political giants like Trump? And what happens when the worlds of pop culture and national governance become indistinguishable? As I left the White House that evening and checked my phone one last time, I saw Taylor Swift's name trending yet again, not because of an album drop or concert surprise, but because she had just reshared a link to register to vote on her Instagram story, captioned simply, "Your voice matters. Use it." Over 12 million people had seen the post within the first hour. If Trump's attack was meant to silence her, it may have done just the opposite.